Hello there, welcome to Inquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another Pen Resurrection Sunday video. Today's pen back from the dead is this 1947 Parker 51 Vacumatic Demi sized with a gold cap and in cordovan brown. This one also had a name deeply engraved into the barrel, which I have successfully removed. Some have asked why I would remove an engraved name or initials on a vintage fountain pen. The simple answer is that very few people would want to own a pen with someone else's name engraved on it. Vintage fountain pens sell for substantially more if they aren't personalized, and vintage Parker pens always seem to have substantially thick material on their barrels, whether they are celluloid Vacumatics or Parker 51s. The lost half millimeter of material doesn't make a noticeable difference in the appearance or the functionality of the pen. The smaller demi-sized Parker Vacumatics are more rare than the standard, and this is a lovely pen that will last another 75 years. So join me as I show you how I brought this lovely pen back into the land of the living.
Take me! Reids! Reids!
Right now. And yet another dead pen comes across my desk. I don't know where they're coming from. So let's open this one up and see what it is. It's a ball of paper. And a compost bag. Or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. There it is. This is a Parker 51 with a gold-filled cap. Has name engraved there, Elizabeth Lytton. Let's see what year it's from. I didn't find out a lot of this information from the eBay listing. There's a 7, so that would be, I don't see any dots, so that's the fourth quarter of 1947. And this does look like a Demi. That's a very nice pen. And here I have a 1947 Parker 51 Vacumatic that I just restored. Let's see whether this is a Demi. There you go. A gold-filled cap, Demi, ready to be resurrected. And here's the pen completely restored. The engraved name is gone, and a new Vacumatic sack has been installed. And the pen is lovely and usable. This is the second Parker 51 Demi Vacumatic that I've restored. You can see the video of the first one by clicking right up here. I'll show you video of how I restored this pen and then give some details about its history, show some measurements, some size comparisons, and do a writing sample. And the pen on the slab in today's resurrection is this 1947 Parker 51 Demi, and it has an engraved name, Elizabeth Lytton. The jewel's in good shape, the clip's in good shape. That blind cap is stuck on that barrel because when I try to unscrew it, it unscrews the Vacumatic pump. And the nib looks like it's in pretty good shape, but it has a bit of a gap in it, so it might be too wet, might need to be adjusted, and it's all slightly misaligned. So I'm going to take this pen apart, get the Vacumatic pump out of there. There is no sack inside, so we'll resack it. We'll polish it up, check out that nib, and see whether this pen will come back to life. So I applied quite a bit of heat to that hood to get it off, and it finally gave up the ghost and came off. There's quite a bit of shellac on there, and I rinsed out the ink collector a bit so we can see that nib, but I have not pulled this out of the pen yet. There we go. Quite a bit of residual black ink, but good siphon tube. Let's see if we can get that nib out of there. And there's the nib. And it says Parker made in USA, RU for ruthenium, and 1947. So we'll clean that up. And the V looks to be in good shape. We'll clean all this out, put it through an ultrasonic bath. Let's take a look at that barrel. There's quite a bit of wear on that. I'm going to be sanding this engraving out of here anyway, but I'm going to keep that blind cap on there to make sure it's all done evenly. But while we're here, we can unscrew that vac assembly. I'm going to try to get the blind cap off. It's really tight. There we go. And the spring works, but there's no sack in there, and it's all stuck anyway. So I'm going to push a rod down through there to try to push the rest of that Vacumatic pump out. I think I'll take some orthoscopic video of the inside of that barrel. You can see that it has no sack at all. Lots of cracking noises. That old desiccated sack. There we go. And it finally let go. Well, almost let go. There we go. And there's what's left of it. Pull out as much of it as we can. So I'll have to drill that pellet out of there with my Dremel tool. And we'll clean out the inside of that barrel because it's full of guck. And then we'll try to get the clip off that cap so we can do some polishing. And we're fresh out of the bath, and that nib, without any polishing it up, is very, very bright. This barrel, I've cleaned it out with a brush, but there's still some gack left in there, so we need our dental pick to get the rest of that sack out of there. And there's the rest of it. There we go, I got that pellet out. I drilled with my Dremel tool partway down into the pellet and then used my dental hook to hook the rest of it out of there. That's a Vacumatic pump that's in really good shape. And that seems to be working. Yeah, there we go. These later jewels were the plastic jewel itself screws down inside a brass nut, which goes down inside the clip, and then the cap liner can be pushed down from there. I've polished up the nib with my jeweler's cloth, and you can see quite readily right there that gap between those tines. So while I've got it off, I'm going to try to close it up a little bit because that's going to be way too wet. Well, it's a lot better than it was. I don't know whether you can see that gap anymore. Just a little wee one. And the tines are aligned. And I've cleaned out that ink collector. So I'm just going to get that scratch off of that feed, and we're good to go. There, now that feed is all polished up. That scratch is gone. The nib is polished up. The collector is clear, and so we're ready to resack the pen, I think. So this gives me an opportunity to show off a new product that I've just received. Not this. I've got a sack for this Demi. It's called size debutante. It's a smaller sack for the vac filler. But Scott Pauley of the Inky Nib has sent me a new pellet pusher. I was using his previous pellet pusher. This is the one here. I would use that because it has a nice deep cup for pushing that pellet in, and it has a knurled knob so you can get some grip on it. But I was using also the Pendragon's pellet pusher because it has the right size diameter to fit that sack on it to peel it back. That makes it very convenient. So I've sort of been using both. He noticed that and he sent me this. This is his updated Pellet Pusher Plus, and it has the same knurled edge, makes it very grippy, the same, actually more robust pellet pusher on this end, but also on both ends it's got the right gauge for fitting the sack on to help peel it back, but also there's a line there to help you mark off exactly how far to cut your sack to length. So I'm going to give that a try. This is the first time. I got my sack from 15 Pens in Canada, Toronto. Put that pellet pusher on there and we push it into the cup and click, and then I can feel right there. That's the dimension to cut it to peel it back. That's excellent. I'll cut that with my X-Acto blade where I can feel it right there, and we'll just run the X-Acto blade around that groove. There it is. Yep, perfect. Look at that. No more measuring. Now all I have to do is put that back in there, put a little bit of talc on that sack, and then roll it back on itself. That pellet pusher in there, it helps. There we go. And it worked perfectly. Just got a bit of a ragged edge, which I'll trim off, and then I'm going to put a little silicone oil around that edge and fit it back into the barrel. Then I'll get my vac extractor, which I also got from the Inky Nib. It's a wonderful device, works beautifully. Put the collet on the end, like that. Tighten it down, and then just tighten that vac unit hand tight. There. And that should be working perfectly. There we go. Now we're ready to polish up that barrel and hood and remove that signature. So I highly recommend this new Pellet Pusher Plus from the Inky Nib. Works perfectly and has guides on both ends of the tool to allow you to cut your sack to size. And also this vac extractor works beautifully on Vacumatics. And this kit comes with collets for the regular size Vacumatic and for the large or Maxima size. There, now I've scrubbed out that signature. It was right there. It only took a few passes of 400 grit, but I went all the way around the barrel to make sure that it was even all the way around. I don't think the section needs the 400 grit. There's no deep scratches in it. So I'll continue from here by going through my micro meshes one by one. And here's my micro mesh chart. So we go from 1500 all the way down to 12,000, and then I'll finish up with some polishing compound. And you notice that I avoided the imprint here as well. And here's the barrel all polished up with no name imprint. Absolutely pristine, and I've maintained the imprint of Parker 51, 1947, made in the USA. Give that a final polish before we say goodbye under the hood. And slide that in, and then we do the spin and guess. And we just got to go a little bit more. And just a smidge. That's a technical term. And there, it's perfect. And now that I've polished the cap up, we will put the clip back on. The clip was slightly bent, so I used some plastic jawed pliers to straighten it out a little bit. We're going to put that brass nut inside that clip. Find the notch on the top of the cap, lines up with the clip. That'll allow us to get it started. And we can tighten it down. The jewel back inside. There really is nothing like a gold-filled Parker cap. Beautiful. And there we are. All I have to do is ink it up, and we're ready to go. The Parker 51 Mark I, or the first generation of the Parker 51, was made between 1941 and 1947 when the Vacumatic filling system was replaced by the aerometric filler of the Mark II. But also in 1947, Parker introduced the smaller ladies size, or Demi, Parker 51 Vacumatic. The Demi has a shorter cap and barrel, but a standard size hood section, nib, feed, and ink collector parts. The Demi size continued in the Parker 51 line, but in 1948 the Vacumatic was replaced by the aerometric. So this Parker 51 Demi Vacumatic was only made for approximately 1 year between 1947 and 1948. Let's compare this Demi to the regular sized Parker 51. This one is an aerometric from 1954 in gold and burgundy. You can see that the cap and barrel are significantly shorter on the Demi, but when I uncap both of them, you'll see the sections are the same size. Capped, the aerometric is 5 3/8 inches long, and the Demi is 4 3/4 inches. The clips and the jewels are exactly the same. 1947 was the year Parker abandoned the deco-styled split arrow clip with the blue diamond lifetime warranty symbol and replaced it with the long arrow clip. The 1947 Supreme Court ruling against lifetime warranties with service fees added ended the blue diamond for Parker and the white dot for Schaefer. The new clip in 1947 was a throwback to the clips seen on the first generation Parker Vacumatics. Here you can see the evolution of the Parker clip from the first generation burgundy pearl Vacumatic lockdown filler on the left from 1935 to this third generation azure blue pearl Vacumatic from 1945 to the 1947 Parker 51. And the Parker arrow subsequently became the symbol of the Parker Company. The cap is ribbed with parallel engraved lines, and the bottom of the cap is engraved with Parker on the front, 1/8 14K, gold filled, made in the USA on the back. By 1954, the cap was 1/10 12K, gold filled, hence the paler gold color of the 1954 cap. By comparison, with the shortened cap and barrel, the Demi is significantly shorter than the standard 51 when posted, being only 5 1/4 inches long compared to the standard 51's posted length of 6 inches. Now let's look at some size comparisons. And here is the 1947 Parker 51 Vacumatic Demi in cordovan brown with a 1954 Parker 51 aerometric in burgundy, a 1945 Parker Vacumatic in azure blue pearl, a 1960 Schaefer Imperial Touchdown, and a 1960s Parker 45. You'll notice the split arrow deco style clip of this Parker Vacumatic with the blue diamond indicating that it is a lifetime warranty, and the Schaefer white dot, which at this point in 1960 no longer meant a lifetime warranty. And you can see how the Parker arrow has evolved over the years with this Parker 45 from the late 1960s. Now let's look at them posted. And here they are posted. You can see how Parker really got the hang of posting pens. The Parker 51 posts beautifully. The Parker Demi actually posts even better. And they got better with it over the years with the Parker 61, which posted beautifully. The Parker 45 posts the best of them all, in my opinion. Now let's look at them unposted. And here they are unposted. These are all 14 karat gold nibs except for the Parker 45 down here, which has a steel nib. And that inlaid imperial 14 karat gold Schaefer nib is just too gorgeous for words. Now let's look at some measurements and I'll be back with a writing sample. And we're back with the writing portion of the review. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is a 1947 Parker 51 Demi Vacumatic, and it has a 14 karat gold fine nib. Let's check the wetness. You can see it's really wet. As you saw in the restoration, I got those tines on this tiny nib closer together than they were originally. It's nicely wet now, and the nib is remarkably smooth and wet for a fine nib. There is a good deal of feedback, as you'd expect from a fine nib. And the ink is Waterman's Serenity Blue. Serenity. Makes me really tense when I can't spell serenity. And as to line variation, you're not going to get any at all with any hooded nib. Typically, unless it's a stub. And the line this nib makes is 0.4 millimeters, which makes it a Western fine or a Japanese fine to medium on my Richard Binder line width chart, which you can find linked in the description below. And for our quote: and for some reverse writing, it's a lot scratchier, but thinner and still very wet. And some quick writing: no issues whatsoever. So what are my thoughts on this resurrection? Well, first I've got to say that when I put the hood back on, I didn't shellac it or I didn't add any silicone grease. And this is the result. That hood has to be sealed down with either shellac or with some grease. I'll put some good amount of silicone grease on there now. But that's what happens. The ink leaches out between that clutch ring and the hood. But all in all, after the last couple of pen restorations, this one was very satisfying because this pen didn't present me with any significant challenges. The pen disassembled without any major complaints and polished up nicely. I'm especially proud of being able to remove the name deeply engraved in the barrel to the point you cannot tell it was ever there in the first place. I was worried that the nib might gush ink with how the tines were so separated, but it's writing beautifully now. The pen is a bit small for my hand and writes too fine a line for my handwriting, so I will be selling this Parker 51 Demi for $120 US to the first person to email me at inquiringminds@gmail.com and successfully pays me via PayPal. If your name is Elizabeth Litton, I'm really sorry. And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And you can join as a member of my channel too for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and you'll get cool emojis, badges, and sneak peek unboxing videos as well. And that just leaves it for me to say thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.